वक्त था वक्त मसीहा न किसी और का वक्त मैं ना आता तो कोई और ही आया होता.
ठीक है. Okay, staying on with the theme of Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, we've started again this year Haqeeqa tul Wahi, and Saqib will inshallah be coming on. Every week we'll have alternating between Saqib and Hunan as well. Both inshallah planning to go to Jamia as well, trying to inshallah pray for them as well that they get into Jamia. It's becoming really tough. So this will be a good training for them as well. So Saqib, if you can get your presentation ready. And while you get that ready, I'll just continue talking about the book. So last year as well, Huzur himself, he said that this will be the book for Khudam this year. I think it was the first 180 pages. So this year as well, he's approved the second part of the book. So from 185, I believe, to 200 and something. So inshallah, we plan within the next 6 weeks to try and complete this because it is a desire of Huzur for us to read it. Of course, if you read it yourself, you'll benefit a lot more. But here on Khudam Night, we're just trying to also give you piecemeal information about the book as well. So Saqib, over to you. Mike is yours. So let us hear some of the things you've been reading this week.
Assalamu alaikum. Today, in his own words, books from the Promised Messiah. The book that was given to choose was Haqeeqa tul Wahi. It's a very long book, but of the chapters that I decided to do was from pages 181 to I think it was 180 something. Was 2 questions, but I was told to do 9, but they were too long, so I decided to do 2 for today. Introduction. In this book, the Promised Messiah, on whom be peace, discusses the philosophy of divine revelation, the 3 categories of people who claimed to receive revelation, the dissimilarity of the truth from the false. He then establishes his truthfulness by documenting over 200 signs in the book, including the fulfillment of the prophecies made by the Holy Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and other men of God, earliest scriptures, and his own revelations spanning over the 25 years. The misgivings, the 2 out of the 9 questions. Now shall address some of the misgivings which had been expressed to the Promised Messiah by some seekers of truth for a reply. Most of these misgivings are those that Abdul Hakim Khan, assistant surgeon Patiala, has either through writing or speech planted in the hearts of people and has thus set a seal on his betrayal that will perhaps last until the end of his days. Promised Messiah has given answers to these misgivings. So the first questions, there was contradictions between these 3 points. I'll read them to you. Let no one entertain the suspicions that in this discourse I have considered myself superior to Hazrat Masih, the Messiah, for it is partial advantage which a non-prophet can have over a prophet. The second misconception was God has raised the promised Messiah from this Ummah, who far exceeds the first Messiah in his glory. And the third one, I swear by him in whose hands my life is, that Messiah, the son of Mary, who lived in my time, he could never have performed what I can and could have not shown the signs which are being manifested through me. Keep in mind, quite a few people are misled when they come across the term prophet with a reference of my claim or his claim. They think as if I or he have claimed the kind of prophethood as vouchsafed directly to the prophets of the old. But they were wrong in the thinking so. I much or he thinks there's no such claim. On the contrary, the wisdom and the provision of God Almighty has bestowed this status in order to prove the excellence of spirituality, blessing of the Holy Prophet. May peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and that he took me to the station of prophethood through the blessings of his, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's grace. Therefore, I cannot be defined only as a prophet. If anyone were to say that the Hazrat Isa raised the dead and that it was the great sign vouchsafed to him, the answer is that, literally speaking, raising the dead is against the teaching of the Holy Quran. It is small wonder if Isa brought terminally ill patients back to life, because such dead persons have been raised here too at my hands, and as was also done by the earlier prophets too. I am prophet in one aspect, and to me too, follower of the holy prophet is the other. The prophethood is a reflection of the holy prophet. May peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and not an independent prophet. This is why in the hadith, as well as in the revelation vouchsafed to me or him, I have been named a prophet, just as I have been named an mutmi, so that if it may be known that every excellence has been bestowed on me through following the prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace and blessing be upon him. What he's saying here is that he doesn't care or have an interest of the title. He just wants people to believe, and people beyond his people to not reject him for his claim or for his and know him that he's a follower of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam too. Question 2. Our exalted holiness, you have you have written on our hundreds, indeed thousands of occasions, that the Holy Prophet, may and peace and blessing be upon him, did not draw the sword in support for the faith. But your letter of Abdul Hakim contains a sentence that the Holy Prophet, may and peace blessing be upon him, shed streams of blood in the invitation to the religion of Islam. What does this mean? He states that I still say that the Holy Prophet, may and peace and blessing upon him, did not spread Islam by coercion. The sword was raised, was not meant to be threatened to the people to accept Islam. For one, one of the reasons were these battles were defensive in nature, because they were because when the disbelievers attacked with the intent to disseminate Islam by the use of the sword, there was no option left except to bring out the sword in self-defense. And the second, long before these battles, it had been prophesied in the Holy Quran that God would send down chastisements on those who did not accept this prophet, be it from heaven or from earth, or would make some of them taste the sword of some others. Uh, there were also other prophecies at the same effect, which were fulfilled at their appointed time. However, it's ought to be borne in that mind that those thousands of Jews were slain. It was not to force them again to accept Islam, but was only because they fought against the messenger of God. That is why in the sight of God, they were worthy of punishment, and their blood was spilled upon the earth like water. And the Quran, it states, verily the retribution of those who wage war against God and his messenger, and hasten to create disorder in the earth, is nothing but that they be slain or crucified, or the hands and the feet be cut off on opposite sides, or they're exiled and kept incarcerated. This is a disgrace for them in this world, and in the hereafter they shall suffer great punishment. Surah Al-Madiyah, chapter 5, verse 34. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Saqib. So that was covering the first 20 pages of from 180, 181, I think. Saqib, brilliant. Is there anything that you learned yourself while reading it? Because, of course, reading it yourself, you're always going to get more out of the book. So is there one thing which you would like to share that that really hit you, or that you maybe didn't know before?
The thing that hit me the most out of the two questions was the second question, where he had to express, and he had to tell those people that he is the prophet, not just the prophet, but he's the utami too, and that the claims that there's what do you call it? There's references in the Quran that explains that there will be a prophet, and it's and that he can do the same thing that Jesus did, I suppose. And such, I suppose.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think even some people in our Jamaat a bit, they don't know that Hazrat Masih Maud was a prophet. You know, we have to make it clear that he was a prophet, and it was prophesied that he would be a Nabi. Of course, what we mean by Nabi is an Ummati Nabi, is that he will not come with any new teachings, but come just to rejuvenate our faith. I was listening to one of the videos of the converts from America, talking about Khatam al-Nabiyyin, and they were saying that it doesn't make sense to me that God will suddenly just say to the world that, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. It doesn't make sense. How can I accept that? Of course, we need someone to come back and rejuvenate Islam. We need someone to lead us, and that really made me realize that people think about this logically. They think about this practically as well, and that they want to get something out of Islam. They want to get something that will make them better people. And this is exactly what Hazrat Masih Maud came to do. So may we all take full benefit of it, and inshallah, hope and pray that we're all able to really understand the true purpose of why Hazrat Masih Maud came to this world. Jazakumullah Saqib, for that brilliant